it's Blackmetalwerewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And today we are going to be talking about manufactured outrage against metal. Most of you might be thinking, what the hell is manufactured outrage? That sounds like a made-up term that stupid people use to sound smart, which is exactly why I'm using it. But aside from that, I was thinking about it that there are some people out there who are so dead set against metal for reasons that are so insane, so crazy, so outrageous that they can't possibly be real. And I've had a few encounters with these people, and I'm willing to bet plenty of you have too. So that's what we're going to be discussing today, so let's jump right into it. So my first encounter with manufactured outrage came years and years ago when I was just a wee young lad and I was just getting into metal, and I was really enthused about it, wanting other people to get into it and suggesting it to other people. And like I've said plenty of times, when I was first getting into metal, I was into bands like Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie and stuff like that. So when I was younger, I was telling people about these bands. I remember I was telling someone about it, and I suggested, hey, you want to check out this really cool music, check out Marilyn Manson. And they got so upset and they said, I'm not going to listen to music from some guy who sings about raping little boys. And I was like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and sometimes I don't exactly read between the lines, but I can't say in any of his songs while reading the lyrics or listening to the music did I ever once get the inclination that he was mentioning, referencing to, or just flat out saying that about the rape of little boys. And that's when I first really encountered someone with manufactured outrage. They didn't want to listen to it, therefore they just came up with such an outrageous reason to be against it. Now, looking back at the situation, I was thinking maybe I was pushing really too hard and the person just kind of snapped back and I kind of deserved it. But the more I thought about it, I don't think I was like that. Don't get me wrong, I have had my instances in the past where I was one of those assholes, but in that situation, I was thinking I was just suggesting a band, like, hey, if you want to check out some different music, why don't you check out this band? And that's the response I got. So that is the first instance I ever had with it, and from that point on, I did notice it more and more in different forms. Obviously, a lot of metalheads get the whole, metal is nothing but screaming, which I wouldn't really consider, outrageous, because there are plenty of metal bands that do the whole guttural vocals, and there are people who just aren't into those type of vocals. Completely understandable, not everyone likes it, no big deal, I can understand why someone isn't into that. But then you get the whole people saying that all metal is satanic. Well, that kind of shows where this person's coming from, that they've never actually listened to metal, which is fair, it's not for everybody, but the idea that to just make up flat out lies about it just to justify you not liking it. If you just don't like it, just say you don't like it. I don't give a shit. I can move on with my life if someone doesn't like the music I like. But but the whole concept of just making up flat out outrageous lies to totally dismiss the music, the people in it, etc., is pretty extreme to me. So the more I thought about this video, the more I thought about why are there so many people who will immediately jump to dismissing it by making up lies about it just as a way to say they don't like it. And I came to a few conclusions as to why. One of them is I just don't think a lot of people outside of metal get the joke, in a sense. For example, there's a lot of people who think that metal is just satanic music and everyone involved with it are Satanists and all that kind of stuff. And in one sense, I can kind of see why, because there are a handful of bands that use quite a bit of satanic imagery. But just as a metalhead, whenever I see a band use a lot of satanic imagery, I don't take it seriously. I know a lot of bands use it as a gimmick. And personally, I just think if someone is using imagery doesn't necessarily mean they are satanic. For example, I'm not a Satanist, but I think satanic imagery is cool. The pentagrams, the goat heads, demons, devils, all of that stuff is just really cool to look at, especially when the artwork is done well. It's badass, it's brutal, it really catches the eye. So though I might not be a Satanist, I do like the imagery and that kind of stuff behind it because I just think it's cool. But to some people looking at that, they would automatically assume someone flaunting imagery and stuff like that is automatically Satanist just because they don't really get the joke, in a sense. Another way I kind of thought about it is a bit of preconditioning, because as much as we think we've progressed as a society, we really haven't, and a lot of people are still living in a mindset that certain occurrences happen because of X, as in school shootings happen because the shooters listen to metal. right? There are still a lot of people who grew up in that era that it was very common to blame a shooting on music or video games or movies, and a lot of people kind of instill those ideas into the heads of their children, and then it just gets passed on and on. As much as we like to think we have grown past it, I really don't think we have. These kinds of claims are still being made today. Maybe not as drastically against metal as they used to be, but I still do believe that that kind of mindset in certain parts of the world, certain states, provinces, countries, etc., that mindset is still there. I was also thinking, is there anything that metalheads could do to try to remedy the situation? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there probably isn't anything we can do to kind of stop people from thinking like that. Unfortunately, there are so many people that just have these ideas ingrained into their brains, and no matter how much you argue with them, debate them, peacefully or aggressively, it's not going to change their mind. So it doesn't really seem worth the time or the effort to change these people if they're stuck in a mindset. And if someone doesn't want to change, they're not going to change. And the more you get upset and you yell and you scream, the more you come off just looking like a whiny bitch. And I don't really like coming off that way. I can't imagine a lot of you like coming off that way. So to me, it just doesn't seem like something that's a fight that's worth fighting. It just seems like metalheads should just keep doing what they're doing. And if people don't like it for legitimate reasons, like they just generally don't like the music, or illegitimate reasons like it's all satanic and they're all murderers and cultists, unfortunately that's just a hit as metalheads we're just going to have to take. You can't change everyone's mind, and you can't get everyone to like the shit you like. But now, of course, I would like to get your guys' opinion on all of this. Do you think there is legitimate manufactured outrage against metal, or do you think I'm just kind of blowing things out of proportion? Have you had your own encounters with people making up weird, outrageous shit about metal just as a way to say they don't like it? Or not? Have you never experienced that in your life? Please leave me a comment below telling me your thoughts, your stories, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to know what you guys think of this. And now, like my past videos, it is time for another album recommendation or an album warning. Today is another recommendation. The band is Bloodthorn. The album is In the Shadow of Your Black Wings. I got this in the Metalhead box a couple months ago, and I've been wanting to do a recommendation for it for a while, but I'm just finally getting to it now. But either way, it is a very good album. I very much enjoyed it, and I think a lot of you will enjoy it too. My personal favorite tracks on the album are Breeding the Evil Inside and Night Shadow. So definitely check it out. I think you will really enjoy it. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video, checking out some of my past videos, and sharing them with a few of your friends while you're at it. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a P.O. box open. All of that info is down in the description. I also have a handful of my Halloween patches left for sale, so if you'd like to get your very own, you can click right over here. There's also a link down in the description. Overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay brutal.